Hi, I'm Nicholas. I'm here to interview Mrs. Rivera. I'm gonna ask you a few questions about
Okay.
your country of origin. Where are you originally from, and what are some details about your country?
Okay, my name is Oslady Rivera, and I'm originally from Cuba. I was born there in 1978 in Cardenas, Matanzas. Cardenas was the town, Matanzas is the province. It's like a state, and Cuba is the country. I was born in a communist country. So for many years, I didn't know what was going on. You know, of course, at home, my parents always talked about, you know, the government and how things were working out and not working out. And eventually, when I was about 16 years old, my mom and dad, you know, were talking about leaving the country, that they weren't happy. They knew that my brother and I didn't have a future if we stayed in Cuba, so they decided they were going to look for a boat, try to buy a boat, and we were going to escape.
Hmm.
So in 94, we ended up, my father bought a boat, and we ended up leaving in the middle of the night. Nobody knew except for my family. We were able to say goodbye to my grandparents and a few of my aunts and uncles. We left in the middle of the night and got on our way to the USA.
Okay. Um, what did what do they do for or what do you do for a living here?
I went to school. So when I came here, I was 17. I finished high school in Pennsylvania. My aunt and uncle, my uncle's my dad's brother, he came back with the Peter Pan program. So he married and ended up staying in the United States. And when we left Cuba, he became our sponsor. So while we were waiting in Guantanamo Bay in a refugee camp, you know, the government processed us and did our fingerprints and everything. And because we had sponsors here, we were able to come a little bit faster than other Cubans that were in a refugee camp. So as soon as we got to the United States, in Miami, they gave us ID cards and working permits for my parents. Then we flew to Pennsylvania, and my uncle was waiting for us, so I was able to go back to school, finished high school. Then I went to Penn State for my bachelor's degree. Then I went back to school for nursing. So I became a registered nurse eventually, and I worked for several years until I met my husband. We got married, had 2 boys, and then I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last almost 8 years. hmm
Okay. How old were you when you originally left Cuba?
I was 16. Yeah.
Did you have any job before you left?
No, not back at home. I was
Okay.
just in school full time.
Um, Other than like fleeing the country, why else did you leave why else did you move to the United States?
Well, it was, I guess for my parents, it was a decision in the process for many years. My mom always says how back in the early 80s, she used to tell my dad, you know, this it's not good. This government is not good. They control our lives. You know, they don't let us progress. You know, when Fidel took over back in '59, my mom's dad used to own a lumber yard business. So the government officials came into his house. He had it in the back basically, and he had a few company trucks, nothing major, but they came in and took all of his tools. They took his company trucks, and they said, this is for the people now. So my grandpa was, you know, just a low middle class, you know, carpenter trying to make his business work when the government came in back in '59, 1960. And they started confiscating all of his goods and everything he had worked all his life to obtain, basically. And like him, there were many Cubans that were taking their lands from, their factories, their businesses. So my mom lived through that, and from the beginning she knew that Fidel and, you know, his people were not